So what is the average rate for a fractional CMO? By the end of this video, you're gonna know exactly what the average rate for a fractional CMO is. Should you be paying it right now? And who should you actually be hiring? The average rate for a fractional CMO varies pretty wildly, and most people have no idea why. We're gonna go into exactly what those reasons are today to make sure that you make the right decision. The average rate for a fractional CMO varies pretty wildly, and there's a very good reason for that. It's because fractional CMOs are asked to do different things based on the situation. So we have three types of fractional CMOs. We've got consultative, we've got managerial, and we've got execution-based. If you're hiring somebody who's just going to consult you or consult your marketing director, then they typically work 2 to 4 hours a month doing live calls with your team. And maybe there's some outlines, emails, SMS that goes back and forth, but they're the least expensive. And they'll typically charge you somewhere between $1,500 and $4,000 a month. The next level up is managerial, and that means that they actually have to work with your team, and they've got to make sure that your team executes the strategy that they outline. So the rate doesn't really go up on an hourly basis. The rate goes up by the amount of hours they have to invest to make sure that they get the result. So they go from working 2 to 4 hours a month to maybe 10 to 20 hours a month. Hence the reason why they charge more. And then you've got the last level, which is execution-based. Now the execution-based fractional CMO, they're doing all the things from level 1 and level 2, but they already have a team that they have hired, that they have trained, that have executed their strategy that they're suggesting to you on multiple businesses already, usually for years. So they're kind of like hiring the Navy SEALs to execute the strategy. And what that means is they're gonna be the fastest to get it going. They're gonna be the fastest to make sure they optimize it to get the results. And they're gonna be the fastest to increasing your bottom line. Experience in your industry is also one of the things that will impact the rate of what a fractional CMO might charge you, because there are industries that are very, very difficult to market in, and there are industries that are relatively easy to market in. If you want to go market in, say, the pharmaceutical industry, that's very difficult because a lot of the platforms don't really want to have pharmaceutical type ads on that platform. So you have to have really creative ways to actually make that work. Where the reverse would be if you were marketing for, say, a car lot, selling BMWs. That is a very basic thing. It's a very standard thing that's repeated over and over and over again. So the cost to execute that strategy is going to be significantly lower because it's a lot easier. Here's how to protect your downside when you're deciding if and when you're going to hire a fractional CMO. First off, I always say, make sure that that person can show you proof that they've had the result in your specific industry already. If they don't have spreadsheets or ad accounts they can show you, at least they have to be able to have referrals of people that you can connect with that can say, hey, this guy or girl did an amazing job. So first things first, you have to make sure it's your industry, because people can have amazing results in all sorts of different industries, but it's apples and oranges. Just because somebody could sell widgets on Shopify doesn't mean that they can sell the upside of your high-end cosmetic surgery clinic. They're very different things. So that's the number one way to protect your downside. Number two, you wanna make sure that it's not a really long contract. Most fractional CMOs, they'll look for somewhere between a 3 and 6 month commitment, and then they'll go month to month after that. If someone's trying to lock you into a 1 year, 2 year deal, that's a major red flag, because they should be able to prove the results to you a lot faster than that and make you really want to keep them on, not feel forced to keep them on. Number three, to protect the downside, is I always want to make sure that I'm very, very clear with the fractional CMO what I view as success. And really, they should be asking you that question, because everybody's view of success is different. It might be an increase in sales. It might be a reduction in churn. It might be the development of a new product suite and getting it pushed out into the market in the next 90 days. So if you're very clear between you and the fractional CMO of what your view of success is, then it's really easy to protect the downside, because if they don't hit those goals in the time frame that you've allotted for it, then you know that you're not the right fit. One of the questions I get a lot is, should I hire a CMO or a fractional CMO, or should I hire a marketing agency? That's one of the more complicated and interesting questions, because it really depends on where your business sits today. If your business is in one of the lower revenue areas, and when I say lower, I'm saying maybe under $2 million a year, then typically we find that the founder or a couple of vendors are already executing the marketing strategy, and it might make sense at that point to offload some of those tasks to a marketing agency, because all they're really doing is the same thing that you were doing, maybe a little bit better with a little bit more volume, and allowing you to clear up time and space for you to execute on the next projects that you need to do. But once you actually get up to maybe the $3, $4, $5 million a year range, that's where it makes sense to bring in a CMO or a fractional CMO, because what got you here is not going to get you here, and they're going to be able to share the strategies that you're going to need to have to be able to take the leap to the next level. Now, my favorite combination, I think I've talked about this in many videos, is I actually love it when people hire a fractional CMO that happens to own a marketing agency, because that's where you get the strategy and the speed of implementation together. That's what we do at 7 Mile Media. Now, if you want to actually see how this is all deployed in a real business, I've made another video for you. It's called the 5 things you must know before hiring a fractional CMO, and you can just click the link below to watch it.